Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is June 16, 2023 and we are getting into the volume 118 of me answering your immigration related questions. As you can see, I have all your comments pulled up in front of me. As always, before beginning this video, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first question coming from Denise24. Denise, thank you for another question, appreciate it. As you can see, this icon here means Denise is one of the top commenters on this channel. So Denise says, hi sir, my priority date is March 2017 and my visa class is F11, which is a subcategory of F1. And since the update, I haven't had any notification as to when the portal will be open to me to access or to be documentarily qualified. My case has been transferred from USCIS to NVC already. Okay, so let's take a look. I remember that for Graph B there was an update on July 2023 visa bulletin. So let's see, we got Denise in March 2017 and we're gonna take a look at the Graph B, and right now it is showing September 2017. So Denise, you are in March 2017 and this is already September 2017. So let me see. So it is about, let's see, March. So you're before that. You're not after that. Okay, so looks like you have already had, you should have had your portal already open up as, March. So let's see, April, May, June, July, August. About 5 months. It should already be open because you're behind what it is shown on the Graph B. You are in all chargeability area, as I remember. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to the NVC, submit the public inquiry, and ask them, follow up, and ask them why it's not open yet. So I'm gonna show for everyone how to find the public inquiry form, and then Denise, for you, I will paste the link for it so that you can go directly to it. So for everyone who's watching this video, if you need to submit a public inquiry to the Department of State, to the NVC, all right, when your case is already with NVC, you have the link for visa bulletin, for July visa bulletin specifically, in the description of this video, and you can find it from any of the visa bulletin, doesn't really matter which month it is. So once you open it, you will see this page right here. On this page, click on the very top right here, contact us. So I'm going to open it in a new tab. I'm going to wait until it loads, which is taking a little too long today. Alright, there we go. So scroll down a little bit and you will see US Visas Contacts. Click on this. And then you'll scroll down a little more and you will see the table. And then the very first row, you will see right here on the right column, email public inquiry form. So we're going to click on this. And then you'll scroll down a little more and you will see online immigrant visa inquiries only, public inquiry form. So click on this and there you go. This is your public inquiry form right here. So you will need to paste, Denise, this is for you and for everyone who's submitting a public inquiry form. Paste your NVC case number right here. Principal applicant is going to be the beneficiary's full name. Principal applicant's date of birth is going to be beneficiary's date of birth. Petitioner's full name. Who are you, beneficiary or the petitioner, the email address, and then in the inquiry, Denise, I recommend writing down, a little bit of introduction about yourself. I'm Denise, full name, this and this. Here's my case number. According to the visa bulletin, July 2023 visa bulletin, I should already have the access to the NVC portal to become documentarily qualified, but when I log in it is still locked. I wanted to follow up and see when the portal is going to be open, because according to the visa bulletin it is already open. And then if you want, you can always take a screenshot of the visa bulletin, Graph B, you can do that and attach it as an attachment. You can take a screenshot of your locked NVC portal and paste it in here, attach it, and then send it to them, just so that they have kind of more information to see. Again, introduction here is not really that much necessary because you're pasting the case number. Once they look at the case number, they will be able to pull it up. But just in case, obviously be professional, be polite, but this is the way to do it. And Denise, once you do that, once you get the response from them, let me know. I am thinking you might have had some kind of delay somewhere along the way. That's why it's taking a little bit longer for you. But Nevertheless, according to the visa bulletin, they are already opening up for September 2017. So people earlier than September, like yourself, they should already definitely have to have the full access to the NVC portal. And then please come back and let me know what they respond. I really want to know what they're gonna say. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Dorsa7369. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer my question. Anytime, you're very welcome. I really appreciate the feedback. The portal opened up for me in the late April after receiving the welcome letter from NVC, and I finished submitting all the documents on June 13. Okay, Dorsa, thank you very much. I appreciate the follow-up information. Okay, moving further to Naveed Malik 3765. Hi, my priority date is October 7. Okay, I'm assuming October 2007. Documentarily qualified. Date is 15 December 22. F4 category. Any idea when final action chart will be current? Okay, great question, Naveed. Thank you very much for asking. So, F4, it's a forced preference category, brothers and sisters of US citizens. That's the category that takes the longest for all chargeability, at least for most of the people. F4 takes the longest. So let's take a look at the graph A now. We're gonna be looking at the graph A because that's what the graph A is showing us. It's showing us the final action dates, which means that people that have been already through USCIS approval and they have been documentarily qualified, the people that are just literally waiting for the availability of the immigrant visa. That's what the graph A is showing, when the immigrant visa is going to become available. So right now, as of July 2023, April 2007 for F4. So people with priority date around 22nd April 2007, their immigrant visas are just now in July 2023 are becoming available. So let's take a look. Naveed Malik says priority date is October 2007. Okay, so October 2007 and right now April 2007. So that means you still have about, let's see, so it's end of April, so let's just count May, June, July, August, September, and roughly October. So you're looking roughly at another 6 months for the availability of your immigrant visa. You are already documentarily qualified, so that's great. That's a huge milestone. So literally right now you're just waiting for the immigrant visa to become available, for the interview to be scheduled, which typically takes about 6 months. And because you're waiting for the availability of the immigrant visa, I'm pretty sure they will take that in the account, and you're not going to wait as long for the interview to be scheduled. But keep that in mind. There is still some administrative processing that is involved once your immigrant visa is available, because they have to schedule the interview, and then obviously you have to go through the medical examination and then do the interview. So potentially you're looking for the whole full completion of the whole process where you are going into the embassy and getting your immigrant visa. Potentially you are looking at another year to wait for with the administrative processing. But according to the visa bulletin, the availability of the immigrant visa, another 6 months roughly. Hopefully, and I'm saying roughly because it's backlog that we're talking about, and the backlog, unfortunately, it keeps on growing because, well, the main reason why we have the backlog on these immigrant visas is because there is a limited availability of these immigrant visas per year. And each year there is more applications, I-130 applications that are coming in these family preference categories, more than there is available immigrant visas. So these extra applications that come in, they transfer to the next year. And then extra from that year transfer to the next year. And obviously this extra, it keeps on growing and growing and growing. That's just the backlog. It keeps on growing. That's why sometimes we open up the visa bulletin, new visa bulletin comes out, we look at it, and there is no movement. Sometimes they just don't update it on time, but a lot of times it's just because the backlog keeps on growing. That's why sometimes we don't see any movement on it, unfortunately. But roughly 6 more months for the availability of the immigrant visa, and I would say another year for actually getting that visa in your passport. And once you get it, that's it. And anytime you want to come to the United States, you got the visa. All right, let's move on to the next one from Bagwadi Saadeo. Hi sir, good morning. NVC has closed my case. What should I do? Okay, Bagwadi, I'm definitely gonna need more information on this. because it might be a good thing. Maybe you're documentarily qualified, but then again, I don't think they're gonna say they closed your case. So please let me know exactly what you received, what kind of message. Don't put the personal information in that message. Just take out the personal information, obviously, date of birth, names, all of that sort of stuff. But I do need to know exactly what you mean by when they close the case. Did you receive some kind of letter from them? What exactly did they say in the letter? So yes, please, if you can submit a follow-up comment, and for everyone, and Bhagwati, for you too, when you're submitting a follow-up comment, please don't respond to my comment within your comment, because YouTube does not send me those notifications for some reason. I don't know why. Please submit it as a separate comment on any of the videos. It doesn't matter. It will still come up on this wall right here. So yes, Bhagwati, yeah, it might be a good thing that you're done with NVC now, and that's it. You're just waiting for the availability of the immigrant visa. But then again, closed case. I really need to see their wording and the reasoning behind it as well. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Anita Brown, 6521. Hi, John. I'm not sure who John is. It's not me for sure. I'm trying to change my fiance address online, but it only gives US states only. Where do I go now to change his address? Okay, great question, Anita. So whenever it comes to changing the address, if you are changing the address on, you're commenting on the video that I've posted, that there's a few addresses that you need to change, right? With a few different government agencies, let's just say. Although USPS is not really a government, it is a government postal service, but still. So whenever you're changing the address with USPS, yes, you can only change it to the address that is here in the United States of America. Makes sense because it is US Postal Service. And whenever you're doing the forwarding, you can only forward it to the address here in the United States of America. However, whenever it comes to the USCIS, you can definitely put whatever address. If it is international address, you can definitely put an international address. You can definitely do that. So if your fiance, which it sounds like your fiance is outside of the United States, then you're just updating the address for, because you're updating the address for the case, for the USCIS case. So just update it on USCIS website, and then you're good to go. That's really it. So I am gonna find the address change form for you, and let me start from the beginning. This is the official government website for USCIS, US Citizenship and Immigration Services, uscis.gov. This is what the front page looks like. We're gonna click on forms, and then we're gonna click on all forms, and we'll give you all of the immigration forms, USCIS forms that are available on this website. But the very first thing right here, AR11, aliens change of address card. This is what we need. So you can fill it out online, or you can file by mail. You can definitely do that as well. So this is what you're gonna use to update the address for your fiance. Let me put the link here. And I'm gonna copy this as well. There we go. Alrighty. So let's move on to the next question from Investor India. I am from India. My file category is F2B, and priority date is August 2017. In July visa bulletin, F1 category charge B has moved 8 months, and date is September 2017. So my priority date is current in F1. Category chart B. Would you suggest to convert my category from F2B to F1 after my parents become US citizen? My parents has just started process of citizenship. Investor India, thank you very much for your question. That's excellent question. I've been getting this question already in the past few of these episodes that I've been doing answering the questions. So here's the interesting thing, right? A few things that you have to keep in mind. First of all, if you remember from the very, very first question from Denise, as you can see, some people that are already current on the July 2023 visa bulletin on chart B, they still have their NVC portal locked, like Denise, example, right there. So again, just because you switch from F2B to F1 and now you're, current on graph B, it doesn't mean that it automatically immediately opens up, because there are still some people that are current on the graph B and it is still locked. Okay. Number two, you have to keep in mind is that just because it moved in July 2023, there is really no clear indication that graph A is going to be more beneficial in the F1 on further visa bulletins, and I'll explain to you why. If you look at the visa bulletin, yes, right now as of according to the graph B, it is a little bit more beneficial. Well, I mean, not really. It's September 2017 and then January 2017 for F2B. So even the F2B is still doing better right now on the graph B. And then on the graph A, for the total length of the availability of the immigrant visa, if you compare them both, F1, the visa is becoming available for people in December 2014, while F2B is already on September 2015. So it means that for F1, currently, people are waiting longer for the availability of the immigrant visa. So you have to look at it as really, unfortunately, as a gamble. Yes, whenever it comes to F1, technically it is first preference category. So yes, it should be processed faster, and the immigrant visa should be available faster, and the NVC portal should be opening up faster than for the F2B, because it's F1's first preference. It is US citizen filing for their children over 21 compared to the F2B where it is a permanent resident. However, you see in July 2023 there was a drastic movement for F1. There wasn't for F2B. In August 2023 visa bulletin, it can be the same way for F2B. In September, it can be the same way for F2B. So really, it is a gamble. So what my recommendation is, once your parents become naturalized US citizens, and that's definitely a good thing, you definitely want to do that. Once you're a permanent resident for 5 years, in most of the cases, submit that application for naturalization, that N400. You definitely want to do that. That's a good thing. But once they are, most likely you will get the notification from NVC if your case is still pending, which it sounds like it might be, to whether you want to switch to the F1 or if you want to stay in F2B, and it's your choice. You can switch to F1, and you absolutely 100% can stay in F2B. They give you that choice. But once you get that kind of option, then it will be better, because once they are naturalized, once you get that option, look at the visa bulletin and then you will see. Because as of right now, I would say it's just too early to make that decision. Because as of right now, at the end of the day, F2B is doing better than F1. But if it happens in 3, 4, 6 months, things might change. F1 might be doing better, and if it's doing better, then yeah, why not? Definitely switch to F1. If F2B is doing better, stay in F2B. Again, just because you're staying in F2B and it's doing better right now, there's absolutely no guarantee, unfortunately, that it will continue doing better. But it's really, it's a gamble. It is a gamble, unfortunately, with those two categories. But great question. Thank you for asking. Let me post this, and we're going to move on to the next one from XVR King Bolty 9202. Sir, my priority date 2016, F3 category. How much we wait? Alrighty, let's take a look. So priority date is in 2016, F3. Let's see. I'm gonna look at the graph A to see the full length for the availability of the immigrant visa first. So let's see, F3 right now it is December 2008. I'm assuming you're in all chargeability. So there's 4 countries that have separate chargeability areas. That is China, India, Mexico, and Philippines, because they have higher numbers of immigration. And then literally all the other countries in the world are in all chargeability area. So for all chargeability, F3, right now the priority dates that are becoming current are in December 2008. So you are in 2016, so you're looking roughly at another 8 years to wait for the availability of the immigrant visa. And then we're gonna look at the graph B, March 2010 for F3. So from yours it's 6, so roughly another 6 years for the NVC portal to fully open up so that you can become documentarily qualified, and then total roughly 8 years waiting for it's the end of December, so I would say not even 2008. This is more of a 2009 because it's 22nd December, so 2009 2009 and you're in 2016. So that is 7 years, roughly 7 years to wait for the availability of the immigrant visa. But again, keep in mind that unfortunately backlog, it keeps accumulating. So keep that in mind, things might change. All right, let's move on to the next one from Munya Margir 3906 says, thank you for your feedback. I highly appreciate it. Of course, you're very welcome. I hope you found my answer helpful. Let's move on to the next one from Hemant Kumar FU8KJ. I'm currently on J1 visa and my visa is gonna expire on October 21. And I wish to change my status to B1 travel. How can I do it? Okay, so you're looking at the right application. I-539s, that's the application to extend or change non-immigrant status. So in your case, you will be changing non-immigrant status. So this is the correct way to do it. However, keep in mind that J1, specifically J1, the exchange, it's kind of like a temporary work visa. They do have their restrictions whenever it comes to stuff like this, because it is there's a lot of people that are involved in this. There's a sponsor, obviously. There is a company that gives you the job offer. So in most of the cases, this program, they have the restrictions where by the end of your 3-4 months or 6 months, depending on which service area you're working in, right? Being an exchange visitor. Most of the times there is a restriction where you cannot, by the end of this program, do any extensions unless you still maintain that J1 and you're still working for the same employer and they're just extending the job offer. But a lot of times you actually have to return back to your country and then come back into the United States with a new status in order to have a changed status. A lot of times. So what you need to do is you need to check the contract that you have from the whoever you're working with, who basically organized this for you, whoever got the job offer for you, whoever was taking all your application, all that stuff. Program sponsors, I think they're called. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but I think that's what they're called. The contract that they gave you, read the contract. And in there, you should be able to find that wording, because most of the times you are not able to change from J1 to something else. There is some exemptions, there is some waivers that you can do, but in most cases you do have to return, and in order to change the status, you just have to get a different visa and come back. Unless, of course, you're extending that job offer and you're continuing to work for the same employer. So check that contract, and even better, just reach out to your sponsor, the program sponsor that you worked with initially, to have all of that organized, and they will definitely be able to tell you whether you can do the change of status or you can't. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Ruslan Pavlovich 4886. What if I reapply to get in 21 days priority? Is it possible? Oh, so that was on asylum case status video. Okay, so Ruslan, that is excellent question. Excellent question. I haven't had a question like this, and I didn't even think about this, honestly. So here's the thing. That's not a bad idea. The worst thing that can happen, honestly, from this is they can just return your application and say, hey, Ruslan, we already have your application for asylum. It's pending. Don't try to get in the second application. But, if you want to give it a shot, it might be worth a try. Just keep in mind that people that because you know what happened. I'll briefly explain it if you don't know, if other people. So somebody who thought that they smart in U.S. Congress, they decided that it was a good idea to separate the asylum applicants into two groups. One group is people that are waiting for a very, very long time already, like yourself, for years. Some people, I had comments from some people on this channel that are waiting for 10 years for the asylum interview, and they still didn't have it. And then the separate group of asylum applicants that have started submitting those applications recently. So the benefit of being in this group, in the second group, the new group that are recently submitting asylum applications, is that their applications are being processed very, very quick. Within 30 days, they're getting their interviews, they're getting their decisions. The downside of the new group is that once you get your decision, if it is not a good decision, if it is denial, they don't give you the right to go to the court, to the immigration court, and argue the decision in the immigration court, basically to appeal the decision in the immigration court, which is not so good, because most of the times when you go to the court, this is where you get your approval, your asylum approved, because most of the times when you go to the court, that's just how it is. But the group that is the other group, that are people waiting for a very long time for their asylum interviews, yes, if you do get a denial after the interview, you can still take it to the court and get your positive decision through the court. So again, depending on which, if you think that your case is really, really strong and you're confident, then maybe it's worth a shot. Especially if, for example, in cases where, again, I would say where there are dependents, where there are derivative beneficiaries, like, for example, spouses. If you have a spouse and your wife, she wants to start a new asylum application as a petitioner now, maybe, possibly. But then again, USCIS can say, hey, we already have your main asylum application for your husband. You can submit another one, and they just return it to you. I don't think it shouldn't affect your old application in no way, but it might be an option. But then again, even if they do allow this and you're now in this new group, keep in mind, if your case is not strong enough and you get the denial, you cannot argue it in the court, unfortunately. So give it a shot, whatever you decide, and if you can come back to this channel, and I'm sure everyone will be interested in hearing what happened, and if it worked out for you or not. I personally would be really interested, because like I said, I didn't think about it, because it's sounds like a viable option. I mean, most likely, like I said, most likely they will return it back and say, hey, we already have your asylum application from however long ago, most likely. But you never know with these guys. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Alex Bill 2746. Thank you for this video. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching. My category is granted withholding of deportation or removal, A10. Okay. I have my currently Turkish passport I got from New York, Turkish consulate. Still, can I obtain I-131 travel document for visit to Canada? Yes, absolutely. You can absolutely, definitely do it. I mean, you are granted withholding of deportation or removal. So was that an asylum application initially that you have submitted, that you got the withholding of deportation? I'm just curious, because if it is an asylum, then yeah, you probably definitely do want to apply for I-131 travel document. And honestly, you probably do need to submit the application for I-131 regardless, because to travel to Canada, you need to show your current legal status in the United States as maybe not as a resident, but as somebody who's holding the asylum, granted asylum, because then you can travel to Canada, between Canada and United States, without any problems with that travel document. So yeah, most likely you definitely do need to submit the not the most likely, but definitely I would say I-131 for a travel document for Canada visit. But I would also check with the Canada. I personally am not very familiar with what the rules are traveling to Canada, because I only been to Canada once, and it was very, very long time ago. I don't remember which status I had back then. But yes, definitely do research what Canada requirements they have, because I know they have different requirements when you're traveling by air, and they have different requirements when you're traveling through, if you're driving and you're crossing the border, it's different documents that are okay. Because I remember whenever I was traveling, I definitely didn't have a passport, but I was driving through the border, so I just showed them something. I think it might have been my green card, and they were okay with it. Okay, so let me pause this and we're gonna move on to our last question for today from, let's see, Vanji Muleda. Vanji Muleda says, how to get birth certificate of my father in Hawaii, and also the SSS, so social security ID, but my father is already now. How can you help me to get? Okay, Vanji. So I'm not a little bit, I'm unsure a little bit about the about your comment, but I'm assuming that's, you know, your father's, maybe he's not around anymore, and you're not able to get his documents. So whenever it comes to the birth certificate, it's in Hawaii. So the way it works is, in most states, you can request the birth certificate, the original birth certificate, online through the one of the government websites. I'm sure Hawaii, they have their own. For example, in Florida here, we have, I don't remember what this website called, but you know, if you type in the Google, get birth certificate online Hawaii, I'm sure the correct government website will come up where you can request that birth certificate. So it should not be a problem at all. Now, for Social Security, you might be able, if you go to the Social Security Administration now, because Social Security Administration is a federal, so you don't have to deal specifically with Hawaii. You can go to, you know, whichever state you're in right now, you can go to the Social Security Administration office and request that information, and I'm sure they will be able to give that to you. That should not be a problem. However, one thing that I want to mention, because you are commenting on documentarily qualified, what does it mean? Video, so that's, you're dealing with NVC, so you're I-130, and I'm assuming possibly your father has started that I-130 process and he is the petitioner. In that situation, and again, I'm not sure what happened, you know, if your father is still around, why you're looking for his information. If he's no longer around, there's a little bit of a different process. So you're not just submitting the documents regardless. You do actually have to do you have to do it a little bit differently. So please let me know in a follow-up comment and explain the situation a little bit more, so that we can further take a look into it, and so that I could give you a little bit more information on that. But as for the birth certificate, just Google it. It's not going to be a problem. In most, like I said, here in Florida, you can just go on the website. I think you pay like $30, and then they send you the copy of the original birth certificate. And then the Social Security Administration, just any of the Social Security administrations you go to in any of the states, and they will be able to give it to you. Now, if you are outside of the United States, that might be a little bit problematic, but again, if you give me a little bit more information with your case, I will provide, hopefully I'll be able to give you a little bit more of an expanded answer. So thank you very much everyone for answering your questions today. I hope my answers were helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, do not hesitate to ask them in the comments below, and I will be happy to address them in the next volume. Thank you very much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you all in the next video.